Nevaeh's ultimate master plan has just completely backfired, and the entire internet is in an absolute frenzy. It was supposed to be her final move to silence the critics, clear her name, and completely shut down the toxic cheating allegations once and for all. She stepped up, strapped in, and took a highly publicized lie detector test, desperate to prove her innocence to the world. But just hours ago, the official report finally arrived, and it has completely blown up in her face. Instead of saving her reputation, this test has opened up a massive can of worms, leaving millions wondering, is Blueface actually not the father? The internet is already calling foul, exposing massive loopholes, and claiming the entire thing was a beautifully orchestrated illusion. And wait until you hear how Blueface reacted. His cold, ruthless response has completely shifted the narrative. Was this test legally airtight, or is it the most desperate, manipulated stunt in internet history? Strap in, because today we are breaking down the hidden evidence, the body language, and the dark truth behind the most toxic relationship circus of 2026. You cannot afford to miss a single second of this. To truly understand how a simple lie detector test managed to completely set the internet on fire, we have to look back at the chaotic, toxic foundation of this entire situation. The relationship between Nevaeh and Blueface has never been a quiet one. For months, their private lives have been laid out for public consumption, turning into a digital coliseum where millions of onlookers watch them trade insults daily. But things took a drastically dark turn when heavy accusations of cheating began to surface. Suddenly, it wasn't just about petty arguments or temporary breakups anymore. The allegations struck at the very core of their relationship, casting a massive shadow of doubt over everything they had built. The public didn't just suspect infidelity, they were demanding receipts. Every single move Nevaeh made was put under a microscopic lens. Comment sections were flooded with theories. Old videos were being dissected frame by frame, and the narrative was rapidly spinning entirely out of her control. For anyone trying to maintain a career and a shred of sanity in the public eye, this level of relentless scrutiny is suffocating. Nevaeh found herself backed completely into a corner. The traditional ways of handling a celebrity breakup, the generic PR statements, the emotional notes app apologies, or going live to cry to fans, were no longer working. The internet wanted absolute proof, and they wanted it immediately. Driven by sheer desperation to salvage her reputation and silence the overwhelming noise, Nevaeh decided to play her ultimate card. She announced she would be taking a professional polygraph test. In theory, this seemed like the perfect, airtight strategy. It was a bold move designed to say, I am so confident in my innocence that I am willing to hook myself up to a machine to prove it. She genuinely believed that by releasing a document certified by an examiner, she could instantly flip the script, force Blueface to acknowledge her loyalty, and make the internet feel guilty for ever doubting her. However, in the brutal arena of internet culture, a plan is only as good as its execution. The moment Nevaeh proudly announced that the lie detector report had arrived and that she had passed with flying colors, she expected a wave of vindication. Instead, the internet did exactly what it always does. It started digging deeper. Within minutes of the announcement, the collective mindset of the public shifted from curiosity to absolute skepticism. People didn't just accept the headline. They wanted to see the actual mechanics of the test. And that is exactly where Nevaeh's master plan began to crumble at the seams. The first major red flag that sent shockwaves through social media was the realization that Nevaeh had apparently selected the test questions herself. In the world of legitimate polygraph testing, the validity of the exam relies entirely on an unbiased, rigorous interrogation process. When a subject pre-approves and cherry-picks the exact phrasing of the questions, the entire psychological pressure of the test is eliminated. It completely defeats the purpose. Internet analysts immediately pointed out that by asking highly specific, carefully worded questions, anyone can technically pass a polygraph without ever revealing the full, messy truth. It felt less like a search for justice and more like a carefully scripted marketing campaign designed to clear her name on her own terms. To make matters worse, the presentation of the test lacked any real transparency. In an era where content creators film every single aspect of their lives, from what they eat for breakfast to their most intimate breakdowns, Nevaeh failed to provide any uncut, official video evidence of the actual examination. There were no raw clips of the wires being attached, no footage of the examiner asking the hard questions, and no undeniable proof that the test even took place under standard professional conditions. All the public received was a piece of paper and a claim. For an audience that has been conditioned to spot scams and clout-chasing stunts from a mile away, this lack of visual evidence was the smoking gun. Instead of putting out the fire, Nevaeh had inadvertently poured gasoline on it, leaving the world to believe the entire report was a manipulated, fabricated illusion. While the internet was busy dissecting every single syllable of that polygraph report, all eyes instantly shifted to the one person whose reaction mattered most: Blueface. In a drama this massive, the public expects a chaotic back and forth, an explosive Instagram live rant, a series of angry tweets, or a dramatic confrontation. But Blueface didn't give the internet the circus they were begging for. Instead, he did something far more damaging to Nevaeh's strategy. He completely and utterly ignored it. He treated the entire lie detector reveal not as a definitive legal clearance, but as a minor, irrelevant internet stunt that didn't even deserve his attention. When finally pressed about the situation by commentators and fans, Blueface's stance was ice-cold and unyielding. For him, a piece of paper handed over by a private examiner couldn't erase months of deeply rooted toxic dynamics. He made it clear that he wasn't looking at a single test. He was looking at the entire history of their relationship. His ultimate conclusion was simple, brutal, and hit right at the heart of Nevaeh's public defense. The past matters, and trust, once completely shattered, cannot be rebuilt by a machine. He implied that someone who is truly skilled at deception can manipulate any narrative, spin any headline, and apparently, even curate their own polygraph. By refusing to engage in the debate, Blueface completely deflated the power of Nevaeh's big reveal. He effectively signaled to his millions of followers that the report was completely meaningless to him, shifting the power dynamic entirely back into his corner. This complete lack of validation from Blueface, combined with the immediate backlash from the online community, seemed to trigger a massive shift in Nevaeh's public demeanor. In the videos and updates that followed the report's release, the confident, defensive posture she had maintained for weeks completely vanished. Viewers didn't see a victorious woman celebrating her name being cleared. Instead, they were met with someone who looked deeply defeated, visibly stressed, and emotionally drained. Sitting in front of the camera, the exhaustion was written all over her face. Her voice lacked its usual sharp energy, replaced instead by a heavy, somber tone as she repeatedly stated that she was completely done fighting. "I just want peace," she told her audience, a phrase that sounded less like a peaceful resolution and more like a desperate plea to escape a nightmare of her own making. For behavioral analysts and casual viewers alike, her body language spoke volumes. When a person spends an immense amount of energy constructing a grand defense, only for it to be met with universal skepticism and cold silence, the psychological toll is immediate. Nevaeh appeared to be collapsing under the sheer weight of maintaining a public persona in the middle of a toxic crisis. Her calls for peace felt incredibly ironic to an audience that had watched her actively fuel the fire just days prior by hyping up the lie detector test. The internet doesn't just grant peace on command, especially not when a narrative feels incomplete and manipulated. Instead of evoking sympathy, her exhausted state only convinced critics that her back was truly against the wall. To make matters significantly worse for Nevaeh, the public wasn't just passive-aggressively doubting her. They were actively weaponizing her past against her. The moment she claimed innocence, the collective internet went into full investigative mode. Across TikTok, YouTube, and X, users began compiling extensive receipts, creating side-by-side comparisons of her timeline versus reality. Alleged older chat logs, deleted messages, and conflicting statements from her past interviews began resurfacing in massive waves. Everyday internet sleuths were pointing out massive contradictions, showing that the stories she was telling today didn't align with the evidence from months ago. This is the most dangerous phase of any digital drama, when the public stops listening to your words and starts focusing exclusively on the evidence they've uncovered themselves. Nevaeh was no longer just fighting Blueface's silence. She was fighting an army of online detectives who felt personally challenged by her attempt to fool them with a self-selected polygraph. Every single defense she put up was immediately met with a counter-evidence video that gained hundreds of thousands of views. The communication between the two camps had devolved into a deeply toxic, public slinging match, where logic was completely thrown out the window, replaced entirely by personal insults, bitter defamation, and an endless, exhausting blame game that neither side could truly win. What we are witnessing right now is the total, irreversible collapse of a public narrative. In the fast-moving world of internet culture, a celebrity scandal usually follows a predictable pattern. An accusation is made, a defense is presented, the public debates it, and eventually, the news cycle moves on to something else. But this situation between Nevaeh and Blueface has broken completely out of that standard cycle. By trying to force a resolution using a highly questionable, self-curated lie detector test, Nevaeh didn't close the book on the drama. She accidentally handed her critics the exact ammunition they needed to seal her fate in the court of public opinion. The ultimate tragedy of this entire strategy is that it completely exposed the deep, unfixable toxicity of their communication. When you look past the flashing headlines, the dramatic Instagram stories, and the endless commentary videos, what you are left with is a deeply broken dynamic where truth no longer matters to either side. It has degenerated into a vicious, endless cycle of mutual destruction. Nevaeh is desperately fighting for a sense of public vindication that she will likely never receive, while Blueface's absolute indifference acts as a psychological wall that she cannot break through. They are locked in a digital arena where every single interaction is weaponized, every private pain is monetized, and every attempt at communication is reduced to bitter insults, heavy defamation, and an exhausting blame game that leaves both of them looking incredibly toxic. The internet's verdict has been delivered, and it is absolutely merciless. For a digital creator, the ultimate currency is credibility, and once that currency is completely spent, recovery is an incredibly steep uphill battle. Millions of viewers who were initially neutral, or even sympathetic to Nevaeh's side of the story have completely jumped ship. The turning point was the sheer lack of transparency. Audiences in 2026 are incredibly smart. They have spent years watching scripted reality television and highly engineered influencer apologies. They can spot a calculated corporate PR stunt from a mile away. By failing to provide uncut, raw video evidence of the polygraph examination, and by allowing herself to select the very questions she would be answering, Nevaeh insulted the intelligence of her audience. And if there is one thing the internet will never forgive, it is an attempt to play them for fools. As a direct result, her recent pleas for peace and quiet are being met with absolute mockery online. When she goes live or posts updates looking tired and drained, the comment sections are no longer filled with messages of support or digital hugs. Instead, they are flooded with memes, sharp critiques, and links to the counter-evidence compiled by online sleuths. The public narrative has hardened into concrete. To the rest of the world, her exhaustion is not seen as the weariness of an innocent victim being bullied. It is being interpreted as the panic of someone whose ultimate deception failed to land. It is a brutal, cold reality to face, but it is the exact environment that this toxic relationship circus has created over months of constant escalation. So, where does this leave this chaotic saga moving forward? The short answer is that there is no clean exit strategy left on the table. The damage done to both of their reputations, though in completely different ways, is immense. Blueface has successfully maintained his image as the unbothered, untouchable figure who refuses to be manipulated by internet drama, but at the cost of showcasing a complete lack of empathy or willingness to find genuine resolution. Nevaeh, on the other hand, is left standing in the ruins of a failed public relations campaign, facing a massive crisis of trust that could affect her digital career for years to come. This entire situation serves as a stark, cautionary tale for the modern digital age. It proves that you cannot use shortcuts to fix a broken reputation, and you certainly cannot use a questionable machine to mend a relationship that was built on a foundation of toxicity. The lie detector report arrived, the promises were made, but the plan backfired in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. The curtains are finally closing on this specific chapter of their public warfare, but the fallout from this massive digital explosion will be felt for a very long time to come. The dust is finally settling on this absolute mess, but the real conversation is just getting started down in the comments section. And that is exactly where I need your help to break this entire situation down. A drama this massive completely divides the internet, and your perspective is what turns a regular video into a massive community debate. So, let's lay it all out on the table right now. Whose side are you actually on after seeing all of this evidence unfold? Do you think Nevaeh is genuinely innocent and simply handling a highly stressful situation in an exhausted, human way? Or do you believe Blueface was completely justified in ignoring that self-selected lie detector test? Was this whole report just a desperate, manipulated stunt to save a fading public narrative? Or is the internet being way too harsh on her? Drop your thoughts, your theories, and your raw breakdowns in the comments below. I actively read, reply to, and heart the most insightful, savage, and detailed responses. So let's see who can come up with the best analysis of this entire situation. If you love diving deep into these celebrity psychological breakdowns, uncovering the hidden truths behind internet culture, and tracking the wildest relationship dramas before anyone else, make sure to smash that like button right now. It heavily helps the algorithm push this content out to more people. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you never miss another exclusive, high-retention breakdown. Thank you so much for watching, keep chasing the truth, and I will see you all in the very next video.